Hello, everyone. It's Tuesday, September the 4th, and we've got some things to go over with you, and we'll go through them as quickly as we can, and then we'll take your questions. But we just got back from Chief Logan and the state park, and you know, there's a connector that we have now that's going to connect, you know, that goes through Bear Walla Trail, and it's 4.6 miles of new trails that we have, and we spoke with those great people down there, and this is just going to make things better and draw more and more and more folks to West Virginia. You know, it was brought up down there that we sold 90,000 permits this year for our trails. And it's unbelievable the number of folks that are coming in from, you know, out of state, and they just keep coming. And with all that being said, it makes great recreation for the folks in state as well. You know, it's a tremendous driver that nobody would have ever dreamed that it could be possible, but it's happening. It's happening right now, and so we're really happy, and this will connect up, you know, opportunity for additional business, additional commerce all over the place. So we're really happy for this, and a great thing for the folks in those counties. Today I'm announcing the distribution of $698,000 in grants, you know, for juvenile rehabilitation services and corrections research for 10 projects across the state and everything, and lots of good stuff going on there. And we've all got to remember, you know, if we're some way, somehow helping a kid and everything that's having a really tough way to go and everything, we're just better off for it. And our corrections folks need to help in every way, and we're stepping up in a lot of different areas with corrections, and we're able to help out. I want to talk to you a second about our revenue numbers. You know, July and August, we absolutely predicted within, and that's what we do here. That's what we do all the time. You know, there's no guarantees. We all know there's no guarantees, but July and August have come in a total of $13 million under budget. Now, last year, to give you a good parameter to use, July and August came in $20 million above estimate. In the scope of things, just think about this. In the scope of things last year, we ended up the year with an $826 million surplus. $826 million. Now, in July and August together, we were 20 up. And we went up from that $806 more million. Now, we feel like that we're still in great shape, and the world's good, and West Virginia's good, and we feel like that September is going to be a really good month, as was last year, and then off we went. So with all that being said, that's why I'm strongly recommending a tax cut for our folks, and I'll get into that in just a little while, you know, about, well, I might as well stay with it right now, you know. But what I'm going to do is I want to announce now that Monday we're going to continue to work, and we want to do this, for crying out loud. The legislature, you know, truly, we've had plenty of time to work out our differences in regards to a potential tax cut. Whatever it may be that's going to be on the call, whether it be daycare or another 5% tax cut or a tax cut in addition. You know, we've had plenty of time to put together and craft some form of additional tax cut. You know, we're still just going, you know, we just are absolutely just kicking the can down the road. So I'm telling you now that on Monday, I'm going to announce our special session before the end of the month and everything, and I'm giving everybody, again, additional time to get together between now and Monday, and let's come to a resolution rather than just continue to kick the can. Our people don't deserve kicking the can. Now, I have given you my word. I gave you that 2 months ago, that what I was going to propose was a 5% tax cut. If we want to do more than that, just tell me how we can do it. Just absolutely tell me how we can do it. But I've given Toby and Edith my word, the voters. I've given them my word that I'm going to propose that and call people back into a special session. Now, I hope to goodness, now I'll make mistakes, but I hope to goodness you know that I don't tell you anything that's not the truth. And so absolutely, Monday, I'm going to call a special session, and that will probably be towards the end of the month, and literally we got to get something done. We got to get something done for the people. Just absolutely just hoarding this money and keeping it, you know, for pet projects or whatever it may be down the road, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't really believe in my heart that everybody wants to do that. Let's come up with something that is genuinely good for our people, and especially at a time when absolutely this inflation is eating everybody's lunch. We all know what it's like at the gas pump. We all know the grocery stores what it's like. Absolutely, you go through a drive-through window and you're just dumbfounded. That's all there is to it. By the cost of going through a drive-through window and buying food for 3 people or 4 people, it just blows you away. So with all that being said, let's help out. I mean, for crying out loud, look, we've got $400+ million in the income tax reserve fund. If we want to put some more money in there, let's do that. You know, if that gives us more, you know, comfort or warm and fuzzy feeling, let's do that and everything. But there's a way, absolutely, to take the dollars of surplus that we have right now, and absolutely, we've got to do something. We've got to do something more for the people. That's all there is to it. Tomorrow, I'm going to be in Beckley. We're going to be breaking ground for the new Beckley Z-Way project. It's a $5.5 million stretch of highway that runs from Shady Springs down through Beaver and on to Beckley. You know, all the road, you know, the congestion on the highways and so on. This is a project that'll be fantastic for that area. And so we're going to be there announcing that. And we hope you'll join us. And you can get all the details on our website and everything. So go to that, please. This one is a little off base, but squirrel season comes in on September 14th, and the youth days are the 7th and 8th of September. You know, I can surely remember growing up with my dad, you know, taking me squirrel hunting. It was a big deal to our family all the time. And in fact, you know, we had a dove hunt on Labor Day, and to be perfectly honest, my grandson, or our grandson rather, JC was there, and I had the little 410, that my little poke stalk that my dad, you know, took me with early on and everything, and I truly, I can remember like it was yesterday, the first quail I ever killed with you know, hunting with my dad and everything. I was in a little broom straw field, and single bird got up, and I just shot and bang, down it went. You know, now with all that being said, you know, he was with me, and we didn't really get many doves, but he did get a tin can, and so but we had a big time, and literally it was with my gun, the same gun that I shot and got the quail with, and that was a long time ago. I can assure you of that. You know, as far as the Herbert Henderson Office of Minority Affairs, we're continuing to have our statewide listening tour. The next stop is September the 16th in Parkersburg. Please look it up. It's great stuff and very, very informative, and please look it up and join us. Okay, it's National Suicide Awareness Month in West Virginia, and you know, and today I'm announcing, you know, that September is going to be that month, and you know, and I'm going to sign a proclamation right now, and I can just tell you just this: we all have got to realize just how many folks that we lose, and especially when we lose a child, it's just absolutely just rips your gut out, and so, but when you know, we lose so many, and we've got to be aware, you know, when you know, we got to notice. We just got to absolutely notice folks that are really down on their luck, and they're all the warning signs are there, you know, and sometimes I guess they're not. But with all that being said, you know, try to be aware of folks that are really having a hard time and really struggling, and especially with our children. Gosh, dog, it just it's just. I mean, I don't know how it gets much worse, but nevertheless, we're going to sign this, and this is an awareness, you know, an awareness to be able to try to prevent and take action this month, and so here I go signing this proclamation. So that's it. This piece of paper won't do much, but at the end of the day, if it gets us to just think, and it gets us to just be aware, and it gets us to really, really, really try to do anything and everything we can for someone that's struggling some way, whatever it may be mentally, we got to watch. We got to watch, and we got to try to do all we possibly can. If we can save one life, gosh, that's worth, who knows, beyond belief. But nevertheless, God bless each and every one of you. Let's try to do what we can to try to help. And that's all I've got other than your questions, please.
Thank you, Governor. We'll now take questions from members of the media. First up today is Charles Young with WV News.
Hi, Governor. This is Charles Young with WV News. Just to clarify, so on Monday, you plan on announcing the date of the special session, but not the... Could you talk a little bit about the items that could potentially be on there over the last couple months? I think we've had about half a dozen items that could potentially be on this call. Thanks, sir.
Well, we want something on the call in regard to daycare and the tax relief there, if not in other vehicles. There's other things, Charles, but the main thing is we got to get a personal income tax cut of some kind. You know, our people need that very, very badly, and we'll just be announcing a date on Monday of when I'm going to call them in. And you know, I really want to say this, but I want a part with a great relationship with the legislature, and there's so many good people there, it's unbelievable. But we can't continue just to wait. I mean, we literally, and they've waited on us some. There's no question about that. You know, but at the end of the day, really and truly, all of us have had time, because I announced this 2 months ago. You know, all of us have had time to get to something that will work, but if we keep trying to get to something that won't work, if we keep trying to make it not work, well, then you know what the answer is to that. There's no way. And I want at least, you know, I mean, I am always going to fulfill what I told you I'd do. And I told you I'd do this, and it's exactly what we need to do.
Thank you, Charles. Next up is Mark Curtis with Nexstar Media.
Good afternoon, Governor and reporters and staffers. Governor, State Senator Mike Stewart is going to introduce a bill next session that would mandate the so-called guardian caps on football helmets and other contact sports, but primarily for elementary, middle school, and high school football. He wants every player to have one, and he wants the state to pay for it. This appeals of Cohen Craddock's death down in Boone County, and this is the district that Mike represents. I'm wondering if you support legislation for the state to provide the guardian caps, and whether the state could perhaps use surplus funds to fund this initiative and get every player safety guardian cap.
Mark, you know me like the back of your hand, and here's the whole deal. There's tragedies, as I have said, that happen on our high school, middle school, maybe even grade school, you know, playing fields and in practice and whatever it may be all the time, you know, and it's tragic beyond belief. And we want to continue to try to do any and everything we can do to make things better and safer. Now, you know, as far as me having an expertise in this, I don't have it, Mark. And, And I guess what we've got to do is we got to see how this is going to all play out, and how it's going to play out with the legislature first and foremost. And but Mark, I am 1,000% all in to try to do anything and everything we can do to protect our kids. You know, honestly, if you could just watch one of my practices and everything, you'd see exactly just that. You know, I truly recognize that there are dangers out there, and we absolutely need to do everything we can possibly do to protect. I don't know the right answer, but we sure know that, you know, head injuries, concussions, and everything, and losing Cohen Craddock, you know, is just a eye opener, but it's there all the time, Mark, and we've got to continue to try to do any and everything we can. You know, I think Mike is you know, Senator Stewart is trying to step up and say, we got to do something. We got to do something, you know, and his effort is well intended, and I salute it. And but I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy to come to and say, is this a good idea or a bad idea? Because to be perfectly honest, I'm just not well versed enough to know.
Thank you, Mark. Next up is Leah Willingham with the Associated Press. Apologies, she's not on here today. Okay. Next up is Brad McElhaney with West Virginia Metro News.
Oh, hi, Governor. Hello. Hope you're well.
Hope you are too.
I've got a child care question for you. Based on your own experience or what you've heard from your extended family and friends, do you consider the affordability and access to child care in West Virginia a major problem, a minor problem, or not really a problem at all? Thank you.
I think it's a major problem. You know, Brad, there are lots of folks that are out there that are, you know, husband and spouse, and a lot of situations, you know, are, you know, or husband and wife, and whichever one, you know, was staying at home or not staying at home, and they want to work, and they you know, they absolutely, in many situations, are, one of them is almost working to pay the child care. And it's the affordability is a national problem. We all know that. I don't know exactly what we're going to be able to accomplish in West Virginia. I know we have a tax break that was sitting there that I can't believe we just turned our back on that, and we need to do that for sure. But Brad, it's a problem, and here's the real deal. On top of that, is we just stick our head in the sand and we don't do anything about it. You know, at the end of the day, Brad, we got to have workers in West Virginia. I mean, that's all there is to it. We got to have workers. Workers have to be young people, and young people have kids, and so, you know, I mean, it's just mind-boggling. You know, when you think about, you know, families paying $600 or $700 or whatever it may be, you know, for a child for a month, you know, and let's say a family's got 2 or 3 children. I mean, how are they doing it? I mean, it is a big time problem, and so Brad, you know, I know, you know, what Jill's doing some, or you know, and Jill's at home with her kids an awful lot, but I know what kids and so on that, you know, that I've coached over the years playing basketball, and you know, I'm with them all the time, you know, I mean, and their children, I mean, you know, one of the guys that I coached, you know, now he's I don't know, 30 years old or whatever like that. He's got a child, and his child is 3 or 4 years old, and he's paying, you know, $500 or $600 a month, and he's having a hard time. You know, it's just on and on and on. It's a real problem.
Thank you, Brad. Next up is Curtis Johnson with WSAZ.
Hey, good afternoon, Governor. Thank you so much for taking my question. Last week, I asked whether there should be an independent investigation when sport fatalities occur. Since then, I've learned the WVSSAC takes a hands-off approach to helmet certifications, telling me the frequency is up to the manufacturer and that getting that certification is the responsibility of each school. The director telling me it is up to the individual school, not the SSAC, to make sure helmets are indeed certified. Given that the WVSSAC regulates so many aspects of competition that it sanctions, do you believe it should play a larger role in making sure every helmet is certified? Shouldn't there be some type of check and balance to make sure the same emphasis placed on game rules is also placed on student athlete safety?
Okay, Curtis, I'm gonna try it. You got several parts of your question, but they're good. They're good. Curtis, we have an SSAC for a reason. They give guidance all across our state to the schools and to sports and on and on and on. But there is a reason that they're there, and there's a reason, how they're put in those positions, and it's driven an awful lot by our superintendents. So with all that being said, Curtis, what I would say is just this. Now I can tell you from the standpoint of what we go through at our school. We go through, coaches have to go through concussion protocol and tests they take and on and on and on, But with all that being said, Curtis, I don't know how we remove local control and bring it into a Parkersburg control or a Charleston control. I don't know how we make that. I don't know how that makes things better. Now, should they have oversight and should they investigate? I would be absolutely all for that, but we absolutely have got to change rules or whatever it may be to get all that in place, because today it may be in place in a different way, but we need to be able to trust the folks at the schools. I'll promise you this, that we've already had a coaches meeting, athletic director and the principal of the school were there. Then from that coaches meeting, we have all kinds of directives of things that we have to fill out and do, and tests taken and everything else. Absolutely the warning over and over and over in regard to concussion protocol and everything. And this meeting was held, 2 or 3 weeks before the start of the football season, and so Curtis, there's a lot of people in the food chain that are looking at trying to do anything and everything we can to prevent this terrible accident and terrible happening that just happened to us. So can we do more? Well, of course we can. If you're expecting Jim Justice as your governor to say, that's all we could do, I don't buy that. I don't ever buy that. Really and truly, at the end of the day, we need to try to do more. And if the SSAC, we can get them involved in a bigger way, yeah, good. But absolutely with all in us, we should not try to remove the local control, because the local control will always do the best. Curtis, I go back to just what we did with this Amendment 2 thing way back when. And maybe it doesn't mean anything to you, but really what it boiled down to was Charleston having control or the counties. I am a real believer local control's better. And so I appreciate your question. I hope I've answered it as best I can, but I've given you my best that I can do.
Curtis, thank you. Next up is Bethany Sargent with the Charleston Gazette-Mail.
Hey, Governor, Beth Sargent with the Gazette-Mail. Hey, my question is about potential legislation that will address creating a process for releasing certain public information in the event of a child fatality or near fatality. Dr. Pursley mentioned this potential legislation at interims last week. She's had her folks were working on it, folks with your office and legislators. Is this something you can get across the finish line before you leave at the end of the year, given your special session announcement? And also, in a campaign-related question, do you have any thoughts on the UMWA endorsing your opponent? Thank you, sir.
Well, Beth, let me go to the second one. You know, I really didn't know that, to tell you the truth, but the UNWA and I have had a good working relationship, and we've had this for a long time. And you know, whether it goes back to Cecil or Joe Carter or whomever it may be, you know, I'll always treasure my relationship with the UNWA, and I can see that, you know, if they've decided to endorse, you know, the Democratic candidate and everything, most generally they do, and if they've decided to do that, that's okay with me. You know, Beth, I'm you know, I'm going to win this thing going away, and I'm not concerned a bit about that. But I am telling you that you know, I treasure my friendship with the UMWA folks, and I respect their decision. So, but in regard to the bill that you're referring to and your work with Secretary Persley and everything is, you know, I really question whether or not that's going to, you know, that we're going to be able to get that across the finish line. And but nevertheless, you know, we think that it's ready to go, and we'll continue to work on it and with Secretary Persley and you know, see if we can get something that works with our legislature.
Thank you, Beth. Governor, back to you.
Okay, again, I appreciate the questions, and I appreciate Senator Stewart's concern. You know, I don't know that that's the right way to go, but it's I do appreciate the concern. The only last thing I would tell you, I just want to make sure, you know, but and that's just this is. Let me just make absolute certain here. Okay. Last thing I would tell you is just simply just this: is at the end of the day, what's my biggest job? What is my number one responsibility? And you know, I have said it over and over and over and over. My biggest job is to make sure the economics of this state are right side up. Absolutely, if we want to do what is right for the voters, for Toby and Edith, if we want to do what's right for them, we've got to have the economics right. If the economics are upside down, you're right where you were when I walked in the door. Nowhere to turn. Absolutely just, you're talking about an 18-karat dog's mess. Really and truly. When we walked in the door, that's where we were. And today, we got successes all over the place. All over the place. It's because we managed the store. We did exactly what we were supposed to do. And that's why I say now we need to deliver that tax cut, that additional tax cut to our people. Because at the end of the day, if we can show the world that we're truly on that pathway to getting rid of our state income tax, really doing something more than just cutting the income tax one time, we're really on the way to getting rid of our state income tax, more people will come. There is nothing that I can do for you. Nothing in any way that I can do more for you than to tell you that the biggest driver to more goodness in this state, hands down, get rid of our state income tax. Get rid of it. We can't do it all in one swoop. I get that. We've got to take care and mind the store properly. I get that. But absolutely, at the end of the day, get rid of our state income tax, West Virginia. Absolutely, you heard it. You heard it first from Jimmy, and absolutely with all in me, I can tell you that that's the way you'll drive more job opportunity. You'll drive more and more and more goodness to West Virginia in every single way. Last thing, just think about this. Everybody in 2/3 of the population of this country, what are they doing? They're driving through West Virginia to get to a state that doesn't have income tax. They're driving through a state that has the most unbelievable beauty, pristine air, water, great people, on and on and on, natural resources, everything under the sun to get to a state that doesn't have the personal income tax. Come on, come on. Just put your thinking cap on. Absolutely, we could capture so much, so much. We got to start. We got to start somewhere. We got to keep it really moving. We made a big cut. We made the biggest in history cut. And now we've got a 4% trigger, but we can do more. And while you can do more, do it. Figure it out. We're going to do something. We're going to try as hard as we can. I promise you, I love you with all my soul. God bless.